Hello, welcome or welcome back. Today we are going to be matching tarot decks to astrological signs, and I also have the Oracle of the Radiant Sun to help bring in all of those energies. So let's just get right into it. So for Aries, I have the Empyrean Tarot, and the etymology of Empyrean means in fire in Greek and medieval Latin. I looked that up. And that was just part of why I thought this deck was a good match for Aries. It has such strong and striking visuals, in part because of the lenticularness of it, but also just in general. I have this deck in order right now. And it just feels like a leader. It feels like it would be first in a list, like a strong starter. And so I just thought that was perfect for Aries. It's kind of moody, it's kind of intense. It's definitely cardinal energy, and it just fit the vibe. Like, let's rewind actually to that Emperor. They renamed it the Anchor, but looks like Aries to me. But yes, this deck is just fabulous. Obviously, can't get into it all now, but I highly recommend. It's just so amazing. It's just so much fun. You could just look at these forever, honestly. So I'll stop, but it really is incredible and looks so good under the lights. Look at that. I'm not even saying words now. I'm just getting distracted by the cards. But that is the Empyrean Tarot for Aries. Oh, and I almost forgot to bring in the Oracle of the Radiant Sun card. So, ooh, the uh, the keyword for Aries is assertion, and this deck feels very willful. Like it definitely asserts its authority, as does Aries. And yeah, I just feel like it was very in line with that keyword. I just wanted to bring it in case that's helpful. But yes, that's the Empyrean Tarot for Aries. Okay, moving on to Taurus. I picked the Herb Crafter's Tarot, and this is material abundance. This is indulgence. This is home and hearth. This is everything Taurus. I modified this, by the way. If you want to see that video, that's why it's not fitting snugly in here anymore. That is one aspect of modifying a deck to consider. It won't fit the same in the box. But this deck is as close to a multi-sensory experience as you can get, I think, through just pieces of paper. It is truly just a delight to look at and just feel pulled into. I really always do. And so it's just very Taurus vibes to me. Like a Taurus would craft all these herbs first and foremost, would take the time to grow them and be mindful enough to use them to their fullest extent. So, yes, I just thought this was the perfect Taurus deck. And it matches its keyword perfectly because the word is acquisition. And this deck is like all about acquiring all the plants you could ever want in your garden. Like, oh my gosh, this is truly just a dream garden situation. Every single one of these, I would be so happy if that was my life. So yes, I think acquisition is very much satisfied by this deck. Really beautiful deck and Taurus would appreciate that beauty, I think. So, for Gemini, I have the Tarot of the Divine. And I saw that someone else placed this for Pisces, which makes sense with all of the moon energy. But I picked this deck for Gemini because it's a bunch of different stories all placed together. It's the sign of communication, and this deck is all about storytelling. And yeah, just shout out to my Geminis first and foremost, because I am a Gemini sun. So I can appreciate the versatility of the sign. And I think that word is perfect because you just have all kinds of different cultures incorporated into this deck, like stories from all over the world, truly. And it's really incredible. It's a great workhorse mass market deck, I would say. It's quite affordable if you don't get the big storybook version that can be paired with it. But I definitely recommend this as well because it explains all the stories in depth, and it's really cool. But to me, that's just very Gemini. That is how these stories get passed on by brilliant Gemini writers and orators all over the world. So yes, just the folklore elements. This deck feels like mutable air to me, like it's bouncing around everywhere. It has like just a very exciting kind of energy to it, I think, because each card is so different. So you never know what you're going to get. I mean, you could say that about any deck, but each story is just so powerful on its own. So it really just keeps things interesting. So yes, that's my pick for Gemini. Next, for Cancer, I have the Exotic Cancer Tarot. And it took me so long to get that pun. Really way too long. And I have to be careful with this deck on what cards I show because a lot of them are not appropriate for YouTube. So let me just pick out a few that I can show. Here's the Fool. It's a very iconic Fool card. Love. So I think just from this card alone, you can get an idea of what this deck is about, but it's not just because Cancer is in the name, although that did draw my attention to the idea. Picking out some cards. A lot of them are inappropriate. So this artist makes some kind of freaky art sometimes, but essentially she is an exotic dancer, perhaps also a Cancer. I'm actually not sure. I would assume as much, but also a prolific artist. So this deck is all about being in the industry. And so there are a lot more cards that are inappropriate for reasons that you can guess. But it is such a fun deck. Obviously love the pink. It's so striking. It like looks really good as the border since obviously there's pink accents all the way throughout. But yeah, it's just not one of those borders where it's like kind of tacky sometimes. Like it's kind of it's a good border. But that's not relevant to Cancer. I think this is very Cancer appropriate because there's a sense of leadership in the deck. Like it really takes a strong person to be in this trade. I hope to not alienate anyone by bringing this deck out. I never really planned to have it on YouTube, but I just thought it was really perfect because look at the card, resourcefulness. It takes a lot of resourcefulness to maneuver. I think the emotional intelligence of Cancer is perfect for that. You know, I think you're often doing as much emotional labor as physical labor in such a role. So for those reasons, I thought this was a great Cancer choice. Hopefully this isn't a problem. Probably is. Oh well, that's okay. But moving on. Next, for Leo, I have this deck. It's in order right now, but this is the Soul Tarot. So the sun is its ruling planet. So this sun-based tarot deck is the perfect pick, I think. It has these Art Deco elements throughout, and I think I associate Leo with caring about aesthetics deeply. A little bit of flashiness now and again, and this deck definitely has that. It's fiery, it's confident in what it is. It just kind of stands firm. This deck really gives me like a Art Deco with like 1920s kind of vibe. I'm studying it because it's a rather cryptic one. I would definitely call this advanced because, like, what is even going on here? I haven't bonded with it that much yet. But the keyword card for Leo and Sun, or Sun and Leo rather, is fortune. And I think that's fitting because the gold here feels really opulent. And I feel like Leos just feel blessed to exist as Leos. But yes, there's something really extravagant about the Soul Tarot, and I just think it's what a Leo would like. So that is my choice for Leo. For Virgo, I picked the Outgrow Yourself Tarotical. It's a tarot and an oracle all in one. A lot of the cards are renamed, so I have like a key written down somewhere to like help me just in case I get confused, because it's not necessarily super obvious what every card is. But I thought this was a good pick for Virgo because it's all about personal growth and hard work. It's a pretty like tough love kind of deck. A lot of the phrases are pretty pointed and probing, and what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, but they're quite intense. And Virgo has always had like obviously hardworking, but also very safe vibes to me. And maybe that's because I'm a Gemini and both signs are ruled by Mercury, so we kind of connect there. But even though this is a tough kind of deck sometimes and pretty raw, it creates a safe container. Like, there's definitely a sense of like, it's okay to be vulnerable with this one. I mean, it's okay to be vulnerable with any deck, but I hope you know what I mean. And a lot of the cards are just looking at you like you know what you need to work on. It is really quite confronting. That's the word I was looking for. So, health is the keyword for Virgo. And I think that's very fitting because this deck is all about self-improvement and mental, physical, spiritual health. But yes, I think health is very fitting, and this deck really just feels like Virgo. The color palette, the vibes. It's very earthy, obviously. There's plants in every image. And yeah, there's just a real like get to it kind of vibe. Chop chop. And that feels very Virgo to me. So that's my pick for Virgo. Next, I have the Pastel Journey Tarot for the sign of Libra. And I picked this deck mostly because of beauty and Libra being ruled by Venus, to be quite honest with you. But it also is just a very soft deck. Like, even cards that are high conflict are like very anime and just lightened up a bit, I'd say. Like, here's this Five of Wands. It's very Libra in conflict, I think, because a Libra would never be too aggressive, I don't think. they'd be passive aggressive, if anything. And there's definitely some very sassy looking characters in this. And it's just so dang pretty. Like, probably one of my prettiest decks. And we all know how Libras love their beauty. And I think the keyword of harmony works really well because, again, like, there's just a sense of, like, peace throughout this deck. It's not high conflict, it's very soft. And I like that. Like, look at this tower. That's a very mild tower in the grand scheme of things. So to me, that's very Libra energy. It's such a stunning deck. So yes, this is my pick for Libra. Love her. The Pastel Journey Tarot. So next for Scorpio, I have the Liliford Tarot. And this was a bit of a harder choice for me, not gonna lie. I would say for this one, Scorpio is known to not look away from uncomfortable things, and I feel like there's a certain amount of fearlessness with this deck. I think I have this one in order as well, but it definitely has some moody vibes. I mean, Lilith, I think if people had to put a sign to her, a lot of people would say Scorpio. And this deck, like, while it looks kind of cartoony on the outside, it has a lot going on. So much nudity in all these decks for some reason. Not all of them, but a lot of them. It's very interesting to me too that this image is so much like the Strength card, except it's more of a struggle. But there's a lot of like beasties in this deck as well. And where endurance comes in, I mean, I think it's the endurance to, again, navigate difficult emotions and situations and not be afraid, or be afraid but not look away. Let's say that. Like, this is so Scorpio, right? Come on now. I'm Scorpio moon also, so if that all says things about me. Libra rising, so quite the combination. But yeah, I think this deck is just very emotional. And I think it incorporates the spiritual endurance of Scorpio really well. Like, look at that. Different, but similar. So yeah, that's my pick for Scorpio, the Liliford Tarot. So for Sagittarius, I picked the Mirror Visions Tarot, and this deck is very fiery, it's very fun, and I thought that was a good pick for this one because I feel like it has very mystical kind of vibes. It really brings in that spiritual element of Sagittarius. And also, it feels like a big adventure. So it's got that, like, look at that. The Fool is also death at the same time. But this deck is just very kooky. Like, what an interesting sun card. The moon right there, too. It just screams Sagittarius to me. Again, from the color palette and just, it's got those mystic traveler vibes. Celestial wanderer, the unknown. So I think it's the perfect pick for Sagittarius. And keyword card, enthusiasm. And Sag definitely has a ton of enthusiasm for life, real zest for life kind of vibes in this deck. Gosh, this makes me want to work with it just even more. Like, oh, that's so special. But hope it's evident why I feel this is very much aligned with Sag. So yeah, that's my pick for Sagittarius. It just looks so good under the lights. I can't. Oh my gosh. Yes, that's Sag. So for Capricorn, I picked the Majestic Earth Tarot. And for me, this was because A, it feels really earthy. And B, I mean, just the amount of work that had to go into making all the art for this deck and for sourcing it for the creator must have taken forever as well. But I think there's a certain like commitment to one's craft that is just evident in all this fine art. And again, really earthy. I mean, but I think it just has that hardworking vibe. And I mean, look at the keyword. It's literally achievement. And this is like achievement of artistic greatness. Just incredible. Like, I cannot believe the talent of people. And I just think all the images were so well picked as well. They really just go so well. Like, you can tell the creator really knew tarot and cared to make good picks. It's just got very Cap vibes to me. Trees is the earth suit. The Hermit. Yes. So that is my pick for Capricorn. Very earthy, very majestic. For Aquarius, I picked the Eldritch Overload Tarot, and I mean, I feel like I just always consider if this is appropriate to bring in, because I love it aesthetically so much. And as soon as I thought about it for more than a second, I realized, hell yeah, of course it is. It's the perfect Aquarius deck. Like, I didn't even have to think about it. It just immediately was like, oh yeah, of course. It's futuristic. It is cyberpunk, really, but it really thinks outside of the box. I swear I use these, by the way. I just put them in order sometimes for studying purposes, but I would say this deck feels pretty airy as well because it's so high concept. It's just such a vibe. That's not very eloquent, but it's just true. I think, I don't know, because the keyword is idealism actually, but I feel like Aquarius can be kind of pessimistic sometimes, but I guess maybe it's less in the optimistic sense and more in the, like, futuristic thinking outside of the box kind of sense, and in that case, I would definitely agree. Like, this is so imaginative and creates its own whole world, and that's just very Aquarius to me. Here's the star. I just happened to open right to that. I think if anything, this was one of the easiest ones, to be quite honest. Like, it's just so straightforward. I don't even know what else to say on the matter. It's Aquarius through and through. So yeah, that's the Eldritch Overload Tarot. And finally, last but not least, we have the Future Vision Gem Tarot. This poor checkbox, oh my goodness. Definitely seen better days. But this is a Steven Universe tarot deck. Steven Universe is an incredible show with some cosmic, mystical vibes. And by the end, it also has a big ensemble cast of like so many diverse characters. So I think these are in line with Pisces' dreaminess and tendency to incorporate elements of all of the signs, all the other signs. And I think because Pisces is mutable water, it's very changeable. And very mild spoilers, there is a mechanic in the show that allows different characters to combine into new identities. And yeah, it's very Pisces to me because it's very emotional show, gets into very deep themes. Like, it might seem silly, but it's incredibly deep and profound. And I think that just shows the limitless depths of Pisces and where they can go spiritually and emotionally. And it's so clear that the person who made this deck both loves the show and knows tarot really well. So this deck is so underrated, I think. It was such a nice gift. And I think it's perfect for Pisces. The keyword is vision, which I thought was hilarious, since it is the Future Vision Gem Tarot. All the more proof this is the perfect pick, I think. And yeah, there are characters with really strong vision, actually. Some would say future vision. I don't want to get into too many spoilers, but yeah, that's very appropriate. And yeah, I think this is the perfect Pisces pick. So that's Pisces. But yeah, I will wrap it up here. So thanks again for being here. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!